What's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you with another episode of the Dive In with Dovin. And boy, here we are. One more week and yet another loss for the Seattle Seahawks as we're sitting here 2-4. Let me bring in my special guest, the star of the Dive In with Dovin. Here he is, Daniel Dovinh of the Dovin Group at Marketplace Sotheby's. Whoa, we're wearing a different jersey here. Wait, what does this mean? Don't tell me you jumped off the ship and left the Seahawks ship forever.
No, I've always been on the Seattle ship and still on the ship, even if it's sinking. Still here, brother. Still here.
All right. You scared me for a second there. Real quick, again, in case you're new, Daniel Dovinh of Dovin Group at Marketplace Sotheby's is a proud partner and sponsor of NorbCam. I greatly appreciate your support of my show. And besides having the Seahawks and our love for everything Seattle sports in common, he's also a great real estate agent. And so if you know anybody who's in the market, or if you yourself are looking to buy or sell a place, he's definitely the guy to talk to. His information is not only in the description, but also right there. You can give a call, talk Seahawks, but more importantly, answer your questions if you have any real estate questions on your mind. So luxury at every price point is his slogan. Daniel, when you hear that phrase, or when you say that phrase, what does that really mean?
Yeah, so Sotheby's is synonymous with very, very expensive auctions. They've been around since 1744. And in the recent years, we became a brokerage in 1955, and something that my company specifically focuses on is treating everyone with that same level of service, no matter if they have $100 million or they have $100. We're going to give everyone the best service and treat them with respect. So that's really what it's about for my company at Dovin Group and our brokerage Marketplace Sotheby's International Realty.
All right. So let's talk, as we always do every week, we talk a little bit about what just happened, and then we look ahead at the next opponent and what it's going to take for the Seahawks to try to get a win. So let's look back at this game that was Sunday Night Football, Seahawks-Steelers. With the nation and parts of the world watching, we were hoping we'd get a primetime win in the Steel City. And boy, we were close. Went to overtime. It looked like we got the stop we needed, but in the end, once again, for the second time in a row, ends on a Geno Smith turnover to essentially end the game, and the come from behind, or the victory lap, is going to have to wait another week. But what was your overall take watching that game? You predicted a loss, and it's sad to say it, you were correct. I believe you said 21-17.
21-20, and it ended up being 23-20. But I was trying reverse psychology. I didn't want it to actually happen, but something needed to change. My overall impression was that it was an improvement, but it's a little too late. I felt like starting the game 14-0 Steelers ahead after quarter one is just a terrible way to start, especially when you're on the road against, in a hostile environment against a historically great defense and a quarterback that's seen it all, in Ben Roethlisberger. So I would say it was a really hard way to start. I was proud of the way that we fought back and stuck with the run game in the third quarter, but it was we didn't end the game strong either. So it was kind of like we started poorly and we ended poorly, which was really tough to see. I will say that the score was nice and close, which was entertaining, but that makes it almost more painful. I don't think the Steelers are world beaters this year. They have some great players, of course. We talked about Najee Harris last time, and we talked about, stopping him, and it just didn't work out. We're struggling in all phases of the game right now, but I will say we are making some improvements, which isn't saying much considering we have two really, really good teams ahead of us in the division right now. So I'm starting to not lose hope in the franchise or the team as a whole. I'm more kind of coming to grips with a playoff run is going to be hard at this point, just starting 2-4 with what's ahead of us.
So similar feeling. I know when we talked about the game last week, Also predicted a tight game. We both talked about our keys to the game, and I think I texted you separately. I said, well, 2 of my 3 keys were correct, and that Jason Myers needed to be perfect, and he was, and that we needed to play better defensively and have guys in better positions. They did, for the most part. The third one was Geno Smith had to be perfect when it came to turnovers, and he was until overtime, which is where we lost the game. So I almost hate to say it. It's like my keys were so specific because I felt like they were the 3 things I could actually, because you can't reinvent and say, hey, we're just going to be great on third down, or we just got to be better at this. We did all those things, and the one thing that was the final one, he just didn't do at the very final thing, and it cost us the game. So, hate being right, but it was an entertaining game. I'm going to look at the positives, which is very hard to do right now. It was an entertaining game. I agree with you. It was cool that they fought back the way that they did.
Yeah.
To be able to fight back from coming out 14-0 and looking like we're just going to get steamrolled the entire game, coming out, running the ball, and suddenly showing life and being able to tie the game, set it to overtime in very dramatic, crazy fashion, by the way, was fun. It was a fun game in that regard. So that part I give them credit for. We did run the ball better than we have really in a while. Our first 100-yard rusher since 2019, and that was, of course, Alex Collins. So that was something to celebrate because that is steps in the right direction. So all that, and the defensive adjustments with personnel, I liked what they did there. Trey Brown looks great in his first start or his first action for the Seahawks. I hope we see lots more of him because, man, he made some plays, particularly that overtime play where he had to make a tackle out in the open and just completely stonewall the guy. So those were my positives coming out of that game.
Yeah.
From the negative, obviously when it's an overtime game, it's so close that anything can change the entire complexion when it's that razor slim of a margin. The unfortunate thing is that it really never should have come to overtime. And we missed a bunch of opportunities that we could have had, both on offense and defense, to end that game in regulation. 2 interception opportunities that literally slipped. One slipped right through Jamal Adams' fingers, and another one hit him smack in the face, literally, bing. One of those should have been picked off. That ball in the first opportunity, the ball was batted in the air. It was in the air for at least 3 seconds. I mean, that's a pop fly. Somebody has to catch that ball. And for it to drop, especially when we're so close to our end zone defending with the wall star back, you got to make that play. Jamal, whoever else, I think it was
Taylor.
Joel Taylor was in the mix of that, and they kind of tangled up, and nobody got the ball. That one for sure. And then the second one, obviously, off his face mask. I think he was looking to bring the hit, and so he wasn't thinking about the interception. And that's just, again, that's kind of his style. He's more of a hit first, pick later. And unfortunately, that one would have been, who knows, he might have taken it to the house if he caught that in stride. But it didn't happen. And then on offense, we had the ball. When we got the fumble by Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh territory at the 35-yard line, we were already in long field goal range. All we had to do was move forward, and we get a field goal, which would have made the difference. What happens? We get a 12-yard run. It looks great. Holding, sends it back, and then some. And then a bunch of negative plays. We really don't get any further than we started. Have to punt the ball. That was missed opportunity number 1. And then in overtime, or later on, was it overtime? I can't remember. Or late in regulation, we had the ball and another chance to score, and all we did was it was like 3 and out, got a sack. It was just bad. It was just wasted opportunities, and that's it. So those are 4 distinct. There's probably more, but those 4, 2 on defense, 2 on offense, for 4 wasted opportunities. They could have taken this game if they stepped up and made the play, and they didn't. And that kind of to me is like the theme of the whole year. Nobody's been stepping up and making plays when they have to. And that's why we can't get off the ball on third down. That's why we can't get a first down when we have to. That's why we're always just a little bit short. And we were just a little bit short again. And it's sad to see the record drop to what it is, because it really could be 4-2. If we won Pittsburgh, which we should have won, and we should have beaten the Titans with that lead. So we should be 4-2. Even as bad as this team is, we should at least be 4-2 without really swaying, and without having to make this team be too different. But we're sitting here 2-4, and I'm with you. A playoff run at this point, we could still be 13-4, like I predicted at the beginning of the season. We'd have to go undefeated. We'd have to go 11-0 the rest of the way. It ain't gonna happen. So yeah, a playoff berth is looking really challenging unless we completely do something crazy and radical. But
Right.
I think all of us realize by now it's just not going to happen this season, especially with Russell Wilson still out at least 3+ weeks. So, boy, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, you're inspiring me to think about the positive too. My positives are pretty similar to, what the Mariners have been doing the last couple of years, which is when you're not going to be a playoff contender that year, what can we do? Well, what you can do is get really efficient with payroll and see what you have going on in the future. So the bright spots are, like you said, Trey Brown. What was really impressive about that to me was he just didn't hesitate. He is very fast. When he was drafted, I was like, oh, maybe he's a little bit slim to play his first year, but it looks like he's plenty strong. And he kept his feet moving on that tackle, which was the most impressive thing. It was nice to see just good form tackling. And I know he didn't play that many plays, but it's nice to have that spark of energy on defense, of good fundamental play. Obviously, Darrell Taylor, seeing flashes of him, that was his best game all year, actually. The national broadcaster was talking about how he's getting in the backfield. He's really affecting the plays. And he looks good. He reminds me actually of Frank Clark in the sense that he's got a lot of strength and he's got twitch too, which is hard to get in the same guy, same pass rusher. So those are two bright spots. I will say I felt like our offensive line did well with having kind of short, Waldron passes with Geno Smith, plus a lot of run game. I thought they really pushed well in the third quarter in particular. I mean, it's pretty obvious with the stats there. Alex Collins did really well. So those are some bright spots for me. Gerald Everett had that really, really good effort play where he just refused to go down. And that was really great to see. I like that Geno had some balls right down the middle as well, which is questionable if Russell really does that a lot, the height thing. And then on the negative side, despite the height thing, Geno Smith still threw it into the defensive lineman's hands like probably 4 times. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And I'm like, I know TJ Watt is good, but can we not have him affect every play and go towards him every play? So on the negative side, there's a lot. I am kind of wondering where our pass rush is besides Darrell Taylor. And then when he's out, I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. We're not seeing a whole lot from Benson Mayowa.
Carlos Dunlap, where did he go, man? He was our savior last year. We credited him for everything that went right with the defense. And now he's I barely remember his name because he's so related to anything going on defensively. You just don't say his name. It's boggling why that's.
I think that's actually been the key factor for our defense starting slow. Has been, the way that they set things up this year, and they're trying to recreate 2013, is it all started with the pass rush. If the front four can get some push, then we're in good shape. I think we are missing Jaron Reed right now. I think that Kerry Hyder had, one good, solid, game-affecting play. But the biggest thing on offense for me right now is we don't really know where DK is and Tyler is. They both had less than 60 yards. And for being as highly touted as they are, DK's kind of in a contract year, in a sense. He could be up for $100 million extension. And I think he's very frustrated about the way things are going. They obviously thought Russ was going to be playing right now. And for the second straight year, we've invested $7 million in a tight end on a 1-year deal that it's not panning out to have a huge return on investment right now. So it's pretty tough right now for me to be super positive about it. I do think we would have won if Russell was playing. I do think we would have won if Alex Collins was healthy throughout the whole game, because he was just steamrolling in the second half. 101 total rushing yards. And then having Darrell Taylor go out, I think was huge. This game is a game of inches, and so far we've only put together probably one game of complimentary football. And had we put together more, we could be 5-1, we could be 1-5, and that's how slim it is in the NFL. The teams are only probably 5% different in terms of talent, but it's all these small, minute details that really matter. And so it's I've been kind of thinking like, okay, how do you rebuild this thing? Is kind of where my head's at. And like I said, that's why I'm wearing the Mariners jersey, because now the Mariners are young and the Mariners are now going to add pieces to get over the hump, rather than right now we have to think about, do we save 17 to 20 million letting go Bobby Wagner next year? Probably. That's really sad to think about. You let go of Russell, save 30 million plus, like that's going to be crazy. But that's probably what's going to happen. And it's sad to think about, but it's also kind of exciting to see, you know, what we can do next. But there's a lot of question marks. This is going to be an ongoing discussion throughout the year and into the offseason, in my opinion.
Well, a couple of things I wanted to add to that. So other positives was the fact that Darrell Taylor looks like he's fine. Obviously, they were just taking a lot of precautions, but it sounds like he flew back with the team on the plane. All the scans were negative, so he may actually play on Monday Night Football. So that was good, because that was a scary situation. You almost forgot about football at the point when you saw him laying down there on the stretcher. So that was great news. And then we didn't mention DJ Reed. I thought DJ Reed had a great game. He was making plays, breaking up plays. He was doing what I remember him from last year doing. So I felt like, okay, corners, I'm seeing my two corners right here, Trey Brown, DJ Reed. Let's put those guys in as starters and let's see how they do in the next go around and stick with them. So those were a couple of other positive things that I saw from the game. But you know what's interesting, you start bringing up sort of next year and potentially you didn't say the word. You didn't say the actual word, but we're talking the R word, rebuild here. And the scary kind of thing is that the trade deadline is coming up, and potentially Seattle could make some moves. If they decide this year is not happening, they could already start trading players off this squad and start looking to try to build up from the ground up already. They could already start doing that now with certain players. If they decide that, you know, this is not playoff bound, we might as well start getting a jump on next year, because we don't have a first-round pick next year, if you guys remember. So we're already behind the eight ball in that regard of trying to rebuild through the draft. We're going to be without our first-round pick. So I don't know yet for there. It really depends on what happens in the next. We already said the next three games. I think you said we had to win all three. Well, we already lost the first one, so in your mind, we failed to meet the minimum, but we got two more games here, and really by the time, I don't remember where the trade deadline exactly is, if it's before the bye, but it's coming up, and theoretically if we lose again and it looks like this season is already over, they could be looking to start trading guys and, you know, moving some of these big contracts off and looking to rebuild for the future. Can't believe I'm saying this in October, but that is the harsh reality of the situation that we're in. It's hard to believe, huh?
There's no way that we can bring back Bobby. There's no financial way to do it next year. It's not that we don't love Bobby. It's that it just won't work out. It's the numbers don't make sense. I think he's probably, unfortunately, the first one to go, because if we trade Russell now, the salary cap hit is huge. But if we let Russell walk at the end of this year, or we trade him at the end of this season, I think the salary cap hit is pretty nominal, relatively speaking. But we just can't move him now. And the next biggest contracts are Bobby and Tyler Lockett and Dwayne Brown. And so I think the highest likelihood after this season is those top three guys, Russell, Bobby, and Dwayne Brown, will probably not be with us next year. I think Tyler is probably going to stay. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense for him to be traded, you know, right after signing this contract. I think DK will only stay long term if we get a really good solution at quarterback, or we pay him max money early. So I'm getting a little bit deep into the woods right now, but I have thought about, you know, Jordan Brooks' natural position is actually the Mike linebacker. So he's really out of position right now as the outside linebacker. And we're honestly really missing KJ Wright. I mean, that was a really big miss this year. And then BBK goes down with injury, and then it makes that situation look even worse, because we could add KJ Wright with probably something near veterans minimum this year. And it's really a shame. You know, he could have spent, 12 years here instead.
Right.
Instead,
it would have helped. I don't know if it would stop the bleeding, but it would have been an extra Band-Aid over some of those gashes that we had. But yeah,
it would be
so let's look to next week, because with all this depressing trade talk, we still have a game to play next week, and I'd like to think that Seattle's not just going to tank every game the rest of the year and go 2-15. We play Monday Night Football at home. We have still yet to get a win this year at home, which is driving me nuts. So let's talk a little bit about this game against the Saints. Saints are 3-2. Is that what I got? They 3-2. I think they're 3-2. Essentially, they're not world beaters, but they're doing better than us right now. I can tell you that much. But Monday night, I would normally say, hey, it's prime time, but everything that normally has trended for us in favor has all gone out the door. Whether it's prime time, green uniforms, leads at the half, whatever. Nothing really amounts for much to really put into this game. So we're just looking at this, and what's it going to take to beat the? Well, let's jump right into it. What are the keys to the game to beat the Saints?
They remind me a lot of the Vikings in the sense that I don't think at QB by himself is a world beater, right? Someone like Aaron Rodgers by himself is a monster, right? Tom Brady, these guys can shred you up. But at this point, it really all goes through Mr. Alvin Kamara. They remind me a lot of the Vikings in the sense that they use their running backs a lot in the pass game, and they run the ball a lot. So I would say, can you stop Kamara? I don't know if you remember, Norb. It might have been a year or two ago, but Kamara had like 200 yards against us.
I remember that game.
He was untackleable. It was. I'm just making up that word because that was the closest thing to kind of Bruce Lee I've seen, because he was so agile. Like it felt like he was going like Alex Collins' Irish dance on everyone while everyone else is like slow dancing. That's what it felt like last time we played him at home. So I have a lot of respect for Kamara. I think he's an absolute beast. I think if we did have NFL football video games, to me he's a 99. So I would say it starts and ends with him. That's my first, second, and third point of how we compete in this game. Point 3A would be, let's win the turnover battle. That's it. Like, let's actually get our hands on the ball and make something happen there. Because if we can focus on anything, might as well focus on trying to be ball hawks, because I don't know what else to fix. It seems like it's a little bit of everything. So those are my keys, man.
You're like me, man. I was trying to think, what are the keys here? I agree with you. Alvin Kamara is going to be tough. Off on the flip side, they have one of the best run defenses. So if we've been saying we got to run the ball. But now I don't know if Alex Collins is going to go. It sounds like he was banged up at the end of the game, but not really a long-term type of injury. I think it was just physical beating. But hopefully he can go. He'll have an extra day of rest being Monday Night Football. If he can do what he did again for a second week in a row, well, that gives me hope. But we're going against a much tougher defense here. I think they're ranked 2, if I'm reading this correctly, 2 or 3 in stopping the run. So that doesn't bode well for us to get a running game going. And really, because it's Geno Smith, we can't even really say what kind of passing game we should expect. The one thing he has done well that we don't normally do is checking down to the running back. I never thought in a million years, hey, the check down's the great play. Well, it seems like that is our best play right now, is checking down to the running back 5 yards down the middle of the field, because at least it's positive yardage. It's not a sack, and we're not risking getting picked off or fumbling the ball. But is that enough to get it done? I feel like the only way we win this game is you already said it, but we're going to have to win the turnover battle. I think in a straight up fight, pound for pound, if we just do the best we can and they do the best they can, we don't match up. We're not going to win this game. And we have to have some luck in our favor. The ball's going to have to bounce weird. It'll probably be raining, because it's supposed to be raining for like the next decade when I check the forecast. So, and of course, I said this last time, hey, the Saints are in a dome. They're coming to our place. So we have the weather to our side. Well, guess what? It rained, and Alvin Kamara was like a video game, and Chris Carson fumbled a bunch of different times, as well as other players. I can't even say the weather's going to help us, because the last time the Saints came to town and it rained, they kicked our butts. So I don't see how we can win this game, to be honest with you, unless something fluky happens.
I just got a little a little message from Blitz from the Seahawks. The way we win it is remind me who their quarterback is. Let's go there.
Jameis Winston, who turned over the ball as many times as he threw touchdowns in his last full season.
He's like the opposite quarterback of Ben Roethlisberger, right? Roethlisberger is like, he's like, I don't want to get hit. I'm old. I'm just going to do all these checkdowns. And that's actually probably easier than, for our young cornerbacks than Jameis Winston, who can throw 50, 60-yard bombs. So I think this is actually going to be a really big test for our cornerbacks. Completely different thing. But do you see Jameis Winston checking down a lot? That's going to be the test. Can he have the discipline to do that? Otherwise, he's going to give us some opportunities. It's going to be boom or bust. Like, he's either going to go off for 400 yards and like a bazillion touchdowns, and like 4 of them are for Kamara, right? Or
he's going to get picked like 3 or 4 times, right?
Yeah, Quandre Diggs is going to have 2 picks, and then Marcus Blair is going to like get one stuck in his helmet, and then we'll be good.
Right.
So, to me, I mean, it's kind of a coin toss, but, I don't know what the Vegas odds are, but if I were to guess right now, it'd probably be like Saints by like -3 or -6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, like you said, on paper, their defense looks a lot better. On offense, we got to keep in mind, Sean Payton is an offensive genius, and Pete Carroll's supposed to be a defensive genius, and what's not happening right now is the Pete Carroll side, unfortunately.
All right, so let's. Well, you kind of said what you thought the odds might be. Well, what's your score prediction for this game?
My score prediction is 28-21 Saints. 4 TDs against 3 TDs, and we're gonna get 3 TDs in garbage time. I'm Mr. Negative right now, Norb. I just gotta be honest with you. I love our Seahawks, and I don't think that Pete Carroll all of a sudden just stopped learning how to coach and our players just stopped learning how to play. I just think that we don't have enough in the tank in the right areas to play complementary football. If you take away your starting QB from any team, they're going to really struggle. I think Russell probably takes up, I don't know the exact math, but maybe 1/6 or 1/7 of the entire payroll. So if you do that with any good organization or company, it's going to be really hard for people to pick up the slack, unless you really believe Rashad Penny's going to come back and be your savior, which the odds are not good. No offense. But,
I don't even know if he makes it through the whole game, to be honest with you. But
yeah, so our best hope right now is really just developing the young guys. To be honest, like I said, like what the Mariners have been trying to do is you got to see who your blue chip guys are moving forward, whether that's Trey Brown, whether that's Darrell Taylor, whether that's DJ Dallas, is he going to be here long term? Travis Homer, is he going to be here long term? Is DK going to be here long term? Is Will Dissly and Colby Parkinson going to do some stuff? Jordan Brooks. I feel like Ugo Amadi and Marquise Blair kind of disappeared. That competition has been disappointing. Like, I think Ugo Amadi's ceiling is really high. That dude has some twitch muscles. And Marquise Blair has, he has a little Cam Chancellor in him, but we just haven't been able to put it together. And so I would say I really want to focus on developing these young guys for the long term and kind of resetting. And NFL turnarounds don't have to take that long. It can be 1 or 2 seasons. It doesn't have to be 10 years of doom and gloom. So that's I think best case scenario right now.
So for me, I'm just going to go by the numbers. This isn't just emotional, but it's really the numbers. But if you look at total yards, offensively, we're ranked 22nd. Giving up on defense, we're dead last. Passing, we're 22nd passing as an offense. We're 28th against the pass. Rushing, we're 22nd on offense rushing. Defense on the run, 31st. That just spells it out how bad of a football team we are right now. And we're just bad. I mean, there's no way to, even if you put the score, like I said, you can't play, hey, if we've done this play and this play, we'd be better. Our record would be definitely better than our team really is. But we're one of the worst teams in the league right now, especially on defense. And it still hasn't, we actually improved last week because we didn't give up over 450 yards finally. So we improved there, but we still gave up 300 and something, which is still too many. So for me, the way I see this game going is close to what you have, but I think actually a little bit worse. I see us losing to the Saints 27-17. Saints get 3 touchdowns, a couple field goals. Seattle gets a couple touchdowns and a field goal, but it's not really competitive from the get-go, and it never really gets close. And we just see more of, I kept thinking, well, that first game, it wasn't Geno's fault. Tyler Lockett fell down. Well, look at this one. Well, Geno Smith didn't see him coming. He got hit. You just start realizing you're just making a lot of excuses for a guy who, at the end of the day, he kind of is the player that he is. Because when you have to keep excusing all the failures, or why didn't we convert in regulation to don't get sacked and get a first down to get in field goal range, or you have a chance to lead the team, when you're on their side of the field after getting a turnover. After a while, you just realize this is why he's a backup, because he's not making those plays. Not to say that Russell Wilson's going to automatically make those plays. Clearly, he's struggled this year as well. But given this is what we got. I feel like I've seen what I've seen enough from Geno Smith, and it's not enough to get it done, over the period. We all got excited for that 98-yard drive, right, against the Rams, right. But we kept saying, but what will it look like over the course of an entire 4 quarters or 4 weeks when he's in there day in, day out, quarter in, quarter out? And I think we're starting to get the big picture, and the big picture is just not good enough. So 27-17, my score there. Sadly.
If that happens, is that going to be 3 losses or 4 losses in a row? And my follow-up question is, would that be the longest losing streak in Pete Carroll's tenure?
Yeah.
It feels like it. Maybe versus like the first year he was here.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I know with Russell, we never had more than 2. But now that Russell's not in the equation, we had to go back to 2010 and 2011, where we went 7-9. It's a good chance we lost more than a stretch. I don't know. Not a stat we normally pay attention to, but sadly, we're in uncharted territory. It's very possible we could be winning. We could be losing 4 in a row, sadly. But anyway, and I realized we talked about a wager last week where you said we were going to lose. I said we were going to win, and the winner was going to get the Spam Asubi. So we don't have it here. We haven't seen each other yet, but I do owe you a Spam Asubi for you winning the bet last week. Obviously, we're on the same page today. Nothing to bet on. We're both pretty down on the Seahawks' chances right now, but maybe because of that, we're so negative and we're so giving our team no chance. I shouldn't even say it, because then I'm jinxing the psychological reverse.
Exactly.
But you know what I'm saying. I won't even say it. So we're both on the same page. Not looking good. So we'll see. And by Monday, we'll have an idea. I expect a very wet, miserable night. But I kind of like it. I kind of like the idea of seeing a very wet, sloppy game. If it's going to rain, pour it on thick to where we have just rivers of water flowing off the stairway and people are slip sliding. I mean, maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need that kind of game where it's so wet, the ball's all over the place, that you don't even have to be a good or a bad team, because it's a complete, like you're playing in a river. Let's have that kind of rainstorm, and maybe that will equalize the odds. But there you go. That's where we are at this stage of the Seahawks season. So with that, let's switch to your real estate tip of the week. Last week we talked about what do you need to do on the day you decide, you know what, I think I want to buy my first house. And you talked about finding a great real estate agent, finding a lender, and getting pre-approved. So I ask you again this time, if you're that same person, you did those 3 things, what's the next step in the journey once you've done those first 3 tasks?
Right. So once you get your pre-approval from the lender, you'll get to actually know your real budget. And let's just say they come back and say, yeah, you're pre-approved for a maximum of up to $700,000. Fantastic. So next step would be us having another appointment and talking through the really nitty-gritty details about what you're looking for. So bedroom count, bathroom count, square footage, neighborhood, lot size. Do you want an attached garage, detached garage? Do you want no garage, proximity to the school district? You want all those really good, important details for your life and investment long term. Now, after that, we set up a custom search for you online. Nowadays, over 99% of real estate buyers are looking online first. So we'll definitely want to set you up with a specific search for you online. From there, we can choose the ones that fit best for you, and we can schedule some in-person tours. And that's when it gets really, really fun, because there's nothing like actually getting out there and seeing what you don't like and what you do like. And maybe something looked good on paper, but in person it was terrible, or something that looked bad online is actually super, super cool. And so what we do is we actually look up to probably a price range of like $600 or $750. Why? Because some people might have overpriced the property, and it's something that we can negotiate with. So it's really nice to know your actual max so that we can actually find something, because at the end of the day, searching is all fun and games, but it's really about you finding your dream home and the situation that makes sense for you, whether it's an investment or primary residence. So the next step is getting all that dialed in and going out and searching in person. And that's when it gets really fun. So that's step number 2.
All right. I remember that step, and it's been a while, because we've been in our house for 18 years now. So it's been quite some time from the time when we were looking around. But I remember what's interesting is when you start thinking about the kind of house you're looking for, the other questions you have to ask yourself is, how long do you think I'll be in this house for? Because when we shopped, we didn't have kids yet. We weren't even thinking about the kids' bedrooms. We just fell in love, like, oh, the master suite, this is awesome. But now, if I could look back where I'm at now, because of course, 18 years later, you know what you love about your house and what you don't. If I could go back to my 2003 self and say, hey, Norb, you know what? You really should get a bonus room or a basement, because you're going to be working out of your house and you're going to need that extra space. But I didn't know that at the time, because we had a studio in Fremont, downtown Seattle. So I did not know 5 years later I'd be working like this out of my house. If that was the case, I knew it. I would have changed a few things. But it is fun to know. But it is good to know what things are really important to you, and what things are going to be in your life, at least for the short term of the time that you know that you're going to be living in that house for. So, but boy, that'd be pretty cool to get qualified for $700,000 in your first house. But man, the way the prices are these days, you might need it. But you
just
never know.
Want to remind people out there, if you're a first-time home buyer, you can put down 3%, and that's only $21,000 on $700K, and the conforming loan limit is $776. So what that means is anything under $776,000 in the loan, you can just have a conventional loan in Pierce County, Snohomish County, and King County. So long story short, because the property prices are so high, there's actually a pretty good conforming loan limit that you can work within. So once again, if you can save up 30 grand, you can get a really, 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 really nice townhome. You can get a really, really, really nice condo, or you can get a pretty nice house in Seattle. So it's not going to be humongous at $700K, but it's going to be really nice. So that's my encouragement to people. If you can save up for a car, you'd be surprised that if you focus on purchasing a home and researching that as much as we research on Auto Trader or Car Gurus or cars.com, and you start looking at Redfin and Zillow and realtor.com and Sotheby's, internationalrealty.com, and you start kind of dreaming that way, that's really what got me into real estate, was looking at these mansions and magazines. I mean, like, this is crazy. These homes are crazy. They exist out there somewhere, and it starts with kind of getting curious about it. So that's what I'd recommend for people. Get curious first, and then follow your curiosity.
All right. Good stuff, man. Well, that's it. That's it for this episode of the Dive In with Dovin. Sorry it had to be such a downer. It's like the weather outside. I wasn't kidding. We're going to be having rain for like the next at least week and a half, I think. So we're definitely in the thick of fall weather here in the Pacific Northwest. But we'll see how the game goes. You never know. They may surprise us. But right now, I know our optimism's, like everybody, I'm sure, is pretty down right now. But you never know. You never know. We'll see. That's why they play the game.
Yes,
all right.
Sir.
Well, that's it. Any last thoughts, Daniel, before we sign off?
I would not be opposed to the Seahawks proving us wrong. That's all I'm going to say. We say all these things because they're true, but the other truth is there's no reason why we couldn't put it together too. But we'll call a spade because we love our Seahawks, and we're going to be honest about it. But at the same time, there's no reason why we couldn't play complementary football. Like I said, it's not like Bobby Wagner just all of a sudden stopped he doesn't know how to play football anymore. It's not like Pete Carroll's has forgotten how to coach. So I would say, I hope we're wrong. I hope we're wrong. That's all I'm going to say.
I totally agree. I hope we're wrong. All right. Well, we will talk to you guys all later. And either way, no matter how bad it gets, go Hawks.
Go Hawks, baby.